Let's put the pressure of entertainment tonight on some wonderful guests, huh?
Who do we got?
Oh, God damn it! I don't know their human names. I only know where they're from because I rolled in too late.
We have all the
Sarah and Beth.
I am talking about Sarah and Beth.
Okay.
Do you know where they're from? They're from a really celebrated, hot, awesome web site. But shouldn't we know their last name? Should we introduce them by their last names too before we say?
I think that would only be professional, yes, but I don't have
So in order
them.
to do that, hold on. I'm just going to pull up. Let's get it. Okay, here we go.
You don't know
their
full names offhand? You don't know that?
No, I don't. And I'm going to be honest because I have ADD and don't worry about me. Folks, please welcome Beth Newell and Sarah Papalardo from Reductress. All right. Yeah. So all right. Reductress is
Do you want us to say?
Yeah. No. Let me take a shot. It'll be funny.
Okay. Yeah.
Reductress is a parody, satirical web news site with a feminist point of view, but it could be satirizing both the feminist point of view and the world around us. It's no shit.
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
that's an A-. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
That's pretty damn good.
In a world where there's such a thing as web news and we're all getting our news from the web, and I don't know why clickhole is not more popular. Like, it's one of the old few like attempts in a post newspaper world where we all recognize that the Onion was doing something important, and then the web became like this horrible cesspool, and comedy seemed to just like that Onion instinct seemed to just go like, or maybe there's just not enough demand for it. Like the clickhole should be. It should be more powerful. People should be constantly like, oh, I'm so happy that someone's pointing out how Clickhole is pointing out how we're all fucked.
Yeah, I don't think most of the world knows how fucked up the internet is yet, so they don't even understand what Clickhole is doing.
It's really hard to satirize garbage.
Yeah.
It parodies itself. You guys seem like you're probably a little younger than me. I don't see any. I'm not going to objectify you, but you seem smooth and.
Thank you.
Dan, they are certainly younger than you.
Do you have opinions? Do you think that it's hot?
As a woman, no.
No, absolutely not.
Do young women still have opinions?
Do you have opinions about generational stuff versus like relationship with irony? Do you think like I'm 44? I've sat up here a lot and said like. I don't think they get irony as much.
Oh, really? Because when we talk to our parents, we're like, we don't think they get what we're doing.
No, they don't see irony at all. But everyone thought that irony was dead when Obama got elected. I don't think it went anywhere. We still have it.
Right. But is it, I mean, do you guys tweet and stuff? Do you ever tweet bits?
Yeah.
Do you find like then people tweet back? Like if you tweeted, like I'm trying to think of it, just a simple example.
Oh, like you make a joke that's a question and someone answers the question.
Or you make a joke that's like pointing out, you're like, boy, I can't believe Tom Cruise didn't do this, and then someone will go like, well, that's because he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
Or they'll kind of like they'll just repeat your joke. They'll be like, for that matter, I can't believe Tom Cruise didn't do that, and I'll be like, that was my bit, you
But
dick.
then that's when I wonder if they're actually more ironically detached than me. Like they're doing a bit that's just more irritating than my bit.
I would say what you're talking about, women and minorities get it like times 10 on Twitter because people are just like, I don't think they know what they're saying. Let me explain it to them.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, there's the whole thing of, and I promise I'm not white knighting by saying this. I think this is fucking fascinating. We spend half of our time wanting to debate whether women are funny, and then the other half of the time the funny women who, like, therefore say things that are crazy, sometimes that are a little inappropriate, we come on, we clamp down on them like harder than any dude, right? I mean, You're biased, probably, you're women. But you notice that, right? Like
yeah.
But is it do you guys? Okay, here's a question. As women that are doing comedy, are you guys of the camp of like, oh, suck it up, buttercup, because we want to be judged on how funny we are? Or are you of the camp of like, Jesus Christ, people need to realize that the perception is all out of whack. I don't want to give you that choice. Why is there a dichotomy?
The second choice?
I would say it's a little bit of both. Like, on the one hand, I don't want to be judged because, like, oh, I'm a woman. Like my work because I'm a woman. I want to be judged for what I actually make. But at the same time, it is fucking hard for women to do this because it always becomes about, like, how did you do it? Like, you don't see male comedians' memoirs the way that you see, like, Amy Schumer and everyone, because everyone's just, like, way more obsessed with how did they do it? Like, how did they claw their way out of that womanly pile
Well, for
of
sure,
garbage?
Jim Belushi wrote a book and said that when he was 6 years old, he found a piece of gravel up his little brother's ass. Like that wouldn't be coming up over and over again, and every critique of everything he said on the internet. Plus, you're an incestuous pedophile. You found gravel up your little brother's butt. It'd be like, no, it's Jim Belushi. It's his book. He probably didn't even write it. And like I think Lena Dunham is a tremendously entertaining person. To me, she's she's not a senator. She's not going to say shit that's like whatever. Why, I'm not trying to kiss your ass. I don't view you as being part of a biomass with Lena Dunham.
Trying to put rocks in my ass.
Come on, Harmon, get your shit together. You got 20 minutes left to prove to these women that you're a feminist. The meter is running.
We're waiting.
TikTok.
No, I'm kind of like in a more general sense, pulling back to just doing you're on a website, you're parodying a cesspool which parodies itself. Do you guys have any? Are you guys like the head honchos at Reductress?
Yeah.
So do you guys? And did you started it as partners?
Yeah.
You said let's fucking do this. Did you have to seek out investors? I just got distracted by a whole line of questioning, but go with it.
We've been bootstrapping.
Yeah.
So we've just been like doing it hand to mouth for a few years.
Do you monetize?
We do monetize. I don't know if you noticed though, the internet is a shit place to make money. So
Yeah.
we make money doing other stuff like events and podcast as well. And
But you sell
Memoir.
advertising
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so now getting back to when you sat down and said this is worth trying, it's going to be brutal because there's no way to monetize it. It's going to fucking suck, uphill battle. Do you have do you have like a comedic mission statement? Does that make sense? Is that question?
Yeah, I mean, the comedic mission statement was mostly just like women's media sucks and it doesn't represent us and we're smarter than this.
Talk about the landscape unless it's going to get you in trouble. Express that frustration. Like when you look at the pre-Reductress landscape of women's comedy, like what do you see the sins being?
I mean, I think the big one was the way that women's magazines talked down to women and use fear and insecurity to make them buy things, ultimately. And then later on, we started seeing empowerment marketing, like the Dove ads, also using empowerment and feminism in order to sell things.
Right.
So it basically all revolves around that.
What are examples of that we're not like what woke me up more? Like if I'm like if I see a thing and I'm a guy and I see something and it's like high five this woman for doing this, or sometimes I see things and I think in the back of my head I'm like that's fucking dumb. Like if I were a woman that would make me mad, but then I don't know if it would make you mad.
It definitely does. I think that part of the frustration was a lot of men see that and they're like, they don't think that thing's dumb. They think women are dumb and like that thing.
That's the fucking okay.
So we were trying to point that out. Like, we're like, we don't want this.
Yeah, we're not in charge of the internet. That's okay. You're blowing my mind. I never. That's true. I bet that's true. Like you have a tendency to, because we have preconceived like investments emotionally. We definitely found that out. Like that we, no matter who we are, that we had stacks of poker chips in this game that we did not. No one ever made us count. We were like, so if somebody says, "Look at this body positive parade marshal," it's like
Episode title.
you're like. You're like, there's things that they're trying to get clicks, and it's like, so you're clicking the turnstile that's created, like includes these like attitudes. So you can say, Charlie Sheen just started a new massage parlor, and you're like, okay, you're only clicking on it if that interests you, and it only interests you if A, you're a big Charlie Sheen fan or a big fan of massage, or if Charlie Sheen's a clown to you and you want to like really like get some shit off your chest in the comment section. And so like the stuff that has to do with women, like but like that Charlie Sheen thing, I never think in my head, oh, why is Charlie Sheen making me try to, why does he want me to think things about him other than he's into massage and is a good businessman? I'm going to go disabuse him of that notion. But if somebody tweets like, oh, Amy Schumer's new music video does this and that, and it's not, she doesn't get to be in charge of how her joke is being delivered, and then you go, I'm going to let this bitch know that women aren't funny. Thank you. But,
yeah, I mean,
We'll be right back. Dove soap.
We'll caress your body. I don't know. I guess I kind of acted like I was teeing you guys up to say something.
No, I mean,
all I did was.
I mean, it's interesting because it seems like Charlie Sheen, amid all his flaws, just exists. Like he is objectively existing, and yet a woman is just a thing to place all of your project all of your fears, insecurities, and anger onto. Like it just seems like it's all our job to have opinions about women,
right?
But it just doesn't work the same way for men.
Do you think that that's not to set you up to sound like like I don't know, not to set you up to sound anyway, but do you think that is localized culturally, like chronologically, or do you think that is like a weird, like crazy primate condition that women are scary to men and kind of and maybe scary to each other, and like there's like this weird flow of energy in that direction?
I think we've been conditioned by media to like fear women, especially if they're in a position of power. So, like, that's all the media we've seen where we see a woman in charge. She's like a horrible boss and she sucks. And there's just like no examples out there. Because I think with Charlie Sheen, like, he can be this garbage mess of a person.
But we love him.
And we love him. And then in 5 years, we could say he like fixed all his problems and people would forgive him and he'd make a new movie and there'd be some like redemption story. But if a woman did that, we would always be like, she's a garbage pile.
It's just Lindsay Lohan. And then like she just never comes back and it's sad. But
there is I can look at myself and feel that. Like I like from my 20s, like before I started like examining that stuff, maybe it's you're punching down before you know you're punching down, like because you think you're punching up because you're a guy, and like women are just like, they're just important, and they didn't buy a ticket to that ride, and they're also not all the same thing, but to you they are because of your situation, and that combined with privilege equals like the situation where it's like you can't get out of the starting gate if you were to say, I'm going to be a woman and I'm going to be funny in this way, and it's like, yeah, why am I explaining this shit to you?
Yeah.
The patriarchy, man.
If only there was a word for me explaining it to you. That
It does feel like punching up, though. I think when you're taking down a person who's in such a high level of power, like Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer, they're like so successful. You're like, I can make fun of them, but then at the same time, you're like, as women, it's like we only got 2 this year. Like it's like you guys had a lot. So you're like, oh, you're taking down our one person.
I was I think this is related. I swear to God. I was watching a documentary about sex dolls and the sex robots.
Hear him out.
There's a couple of these. There's documentaries about guys who have their sex dolls. This was a thing about guys who are dedicated to the dream of inventing sex dolls, the guys who are engineering them, and the guys who can't wait to be their first customer.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. Good.
And the thing that I hope I can articulate this with, but because I feel like I noticed this, is that like even in spite of the fact that these guys are in their garage like making sex dolls, and then the other guys are like, I can't wait to have a sex robot. When they grace the topics of like just sex in general, even though they're supposed to be deconstructing it with pride and with elan. They still go like, you know, there's the pelvic thrust for certain other activities, if you know what I mean. And it's like, what do you mean if I know what you mean? This whole there's a camera crew in your garage. You're making a dick piston like that. So I go like, why just talk like it's NASCAR? And here's the thing, like the guys that are waiting for the sex robots who also talk like that. They go like, oh, and I'm looking for a certain thing, if you know what I mean, and like kind of like for certain visceral topics that wouldn't by nature be offensive. They like the guys that are inventing the sex robots by virtue of the fact that they're making them in their garage, and it's hard to make beautiful things by scratch. With lumber and nails.
Ouch.
When
fucking Apple IIe of sex robots.
Yeah.
Just like the shitty tube
to
monitor.
the extent that the sex robots are able to, for instance, move or talk, all of that budget in your Sim City of like what makes a sex robot, it all goes away from like physical attractiveness, kind of like it's already hard to make a thing that looks like a beautiful human being in the first place, and then these guys are trying to make a thing that like acts right and talks right and goes like this, and so but what I noticed for that reason is that then they would go to these guys who are connoisseurs pay it forward connoisseurs of sex robots that don't exist yet, and all of them, as they intercut between them talking about this guy's new sex robot, he's like, I'm unveiling the sex robot, and it just looks like David Lee Roth, like it's like. Because he's focused on all this other functionality, and the thing just looks like your uncle in a wig. And just as I'm doing right now, it's like those guys, they cut between them, and all those guys that are like, if you know what I mean, about all that like stuff that has to do with their intimacy, them wanting pleasure. When they got to say that it's ugly, like they just relax. You can see the weight come off of their shoulders, and I don't know how to articulate. I was like, I paused it, and I was like saying like, there's something important here, because like these guys are going like it's that bringing that back around to this. It doesn't feel like punching down, but you're like we want to punch down. Like we have an urge, and I think that probably all human beings feel that. Like we all have some area where we justify it somehow. Like I'll be like in a comment section on Jezebel and like watching under some articles like, oh, like, but here's your thing. Like, here's your thing where you get to call someone a piece of fucking subhuman shit, you know?
Some people need to make a robot to be like, I'm out of her fucking league.
Yeah, those guys are just like, she's ugly. And they started coming up with all these things. I wouldn't fuck her with someone else's dick and all this stuff. I was like, oh, you were just winking and nudging when you were talking about your own dick. But it's like, I wouldn't fuck her with someone else's dick. We're talking about someone else's dick? We're talking about a robot? It's like, it's ugly. Like, we want to just drown each other because we feel like we're drowning. We want to like grab each other's heads and go like, you're ugly. You're ugly. I'm not drowning. I was just in Fiji and I almost drowned.
Oh no.
All right. Well, I told you I was a bad interviewer. I told you what I'll do.